Hello everybody, welcome along to part 3 of our international break series of Higher or Lower by Christmas Day. We've had a look at the form table, at the league table, at the XG, at the fixtures, at the opponents, and added in our emotions and our hunches to all of this and tried to project whether each team is going to be higher or lower, or even neither, staying where they are by Christmas Day. Part 1 was out 2 days ago. Part 2 was out yesterday. Here is part 3, and we're dealing with the bottom third of the table. So that would be 17th place downwards, the bottom 8. And we will start with Preston, who are currently 17th in the league. However, in the form table they are 11th, and in the XG table they are 16th. So it looks positive for them in those two stats. When we look at the next ones, fairly middling in terms of opponents' position. 12.5 is the average for the next 6 opponents. 13th trickiest in the league, that. In terms of form, it's all very much around where they are. Their next 6 opponents are 11th trickiest in the division, and Preston are 11th in the form table. So not much to read into that. Opponents XG, minus 13 places there. In terms of Preston's opponents, in the XG table, an average of 10.3. Preston obviously are 16th in that XG table. So a bit of a disparity there. And I can see my copy and pasting skills on any other business non-existent there. So ignore that. I think that was a comment from Reading on the previous one. So does that all add up into Preston going up or down? I think it adds up into Preston moving slightly up the table. I think they go from a reasonably low base there in 17th. And I think I've got enough equaling it out in terms of their opponents and their form being just slightly better than 17th. Let's move on to Sheffield United, who are one of our, and I think their fans would admit, underachievers this season. Shouldn't be down in 18th with the squad they've got and where they've been the last couple of seasons. In the form table, they're 1 place higher. Whoop-de-doo, says every Sheffield United fan, but hey, it is higher. The XG might even get a bigger whoop-de-doo for that. They're 7th place higher. So those things, those two metrics do suggest a slight move up the table, if at all. In terms of the opponents coming up, 7th trickiest. However, opponents' form is not good. The average form of the next 6 opponents, 15th and a half in the form table, which is the second easiest run, we think, in the division coming up in the next 6 games. However, the current position in the XGs do fly in the face of that with 7th and 9th. It all shows you different metrics will point you in different directions. So I've just written down there, any other business squad quality. We do know that there are good players at Sheffield United. If Jukanovic can, in this run of games now, finally fashion them into a viable championship team. He hasn't managed to do it yet. But there's surely enough to say, with those metrics and the squad and all of that, that they'll at least go 1 place higher than 18th by Christmas, won't they? I suspect Mr. Jukanovic might be in quite severe trouble if they've gone lower by Christmas than 18th. Put it that way, not where they expected to be. Bristol City, did they expect to be in 19th? I don't know. Ask Bristol City fans. After the second half of last season, they probably would have taken 19th because it wasn't going too well. Form table, though, Bristol City are the worst team in the league across the last 6 games. 24th, you can see there. The XG, they're better. 18th there. Maybe some good finishing. I don't know. Vyman and Wells and Martin, you tell me. Little bit of a lift in terms of that metric. Now, in terms of opponent's position, opponent's form and opponent's XG, it's not too bad. 18th hardest run in terms of opponent position. 24th. So in terms of opponent's form, they've actually got the easiest run in the league. However, remember that's completely equalled out by the fact they are bottom of the form table. So, I don't know, does one cancel the other? Opponent's XG is 17th most difficult coming up in the league. And it's very, very difficult with that form table 24th, isn't it? So I've written not promising there. And I don't know, something doesn't feel quite right at Bristol City at the moment, does it? For the last 6-9 months or so, really. So I'm going to project Bristol City to be lower than 19th. I'm not entirely sure they'll be in the relegation zone. They've got a 7-point buffer to that. But, well, given what I'm about to say about a couple of teams below them, I think they could drop a place minimum. Let me know what you think in the comments. Cardiff, who've had a terrible run and will likely have a new manager, unless it's Steve Morrison, the caretaker manager. Lots to talk about Michael Flynn as well, the former Newport manager who's a free agent at the moment. The form table isn't good. 21st, which is one place lower than they actually are. The XG table, strangely, has been all right for Cardiff. I think that's probably on the basis that they did create a lot of decent chances in those early games from the long throws and the set plays and all of that good stuff. 13th in the XG table. Now, here's something that's good for Cardiff. Opponent position, if you're judging it purely by opponent position, they've got the easiest run in the next 6 games. And opponent form and opponent XG both come out at 17th, which is not quite bottom 6, but nearly, isn't it? So there's some numerical evidence that their run coming up is reasonably okay. The other thing is there's a 4-point gap going up to Bristol City. So unless they do literally win maybe 2 or 3 games, we know how slowly teams move in that bottom 6. Can they mitigate a 4-point gap? I'm going to say because of that 4-point gap, that it all evens itself out. I think they'll be closer. However, I'm going to say neither. Which, given I've said Bristol City are going to be lower, I might have to revise. But yeah, let me have a little think about that. In 21st, we have got Peterborough. And Peterborough are 18th in the form table, but 23rd in the XG table. So do those two things even them out? I don't know. In terms of opponent's position, 7th most difficult run. 10th in terms of opponent's form, although opponent's XG, 19th. So I don't know. Which one of those 3 do you hang your hat on? You tell me. Any other business, I've put what lies beneath, because I said things move slowly down there. Can anyone put together any kind of run? And remember, a run when you're in the bottom 6 is literally 2 wins in 4, isn't it? So we'll see if anyone can do that. I think Peterborough might drop a position. So I may be revealing what I think is going to happen with someone or other in the bottom 3. Stick with me before you think my working out is complete nonsense. Hey, again, we're predicting the future, aren't we? So it may turn out to be that way. Let's talk about Hull. Hull in the form table are 22nd. They're 22nd in the league. In the XG table, they're 20th. So that bodes well in some way, shape or form. But what we do have to say about Hull is their run coming up is decent. 22nd most difficult, or 3rd easiest in terms of opponent position. In terms of opponent form, 19th. And in terms of opponent XG, 21st. So there is an argument that Hull's run, if they can actually get the ball in the net, which they've struggled to do, but they did win their last game at Barnsley, didn't they? So I wonder if there could be a short-term bounce there. Any other business, I've put takeover. Is that good, bad, or indifferent? I don't know. You could get a takeover and a good feel-good factor around the club, and everything's lovely. You could get a takeover and they immediately fire the manager, and there's all kinds of chaos. But given that run of games they've got, I am projecting that Hull will be higher than 22nd. They're only 1 game off Peterborough in terms of a 3-point gap. And they've got a superior goal difference. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that they could go past them. Let's move on to a Barnsley, who are going to have a new boss. We don't know what sort of effect that might have short term. We don't even know who it is. All lies, damn lies and speculation at the moment. Everything's much of a muchness other than that. Look, 23rd in the league and 23rd in the form table. 23rd in the league and 21st in the XG table. Opponents, however, look tricky. Next 6 coming up. 5th hardest based on opponent position. Most difficult in the league based on opponent form over the last 6 games. Their average opponent is 9.3 in the form table, which out of anyone in the league is the smallest number, the most difficult number we think, and opponent's XG 7th as well. So it's hard to see Barnsley moving anywhere, but all with the big caveat, we've got no idea who the new manager's going to be. Will it be Joseph Lohmann? Will it be somebody who's worked in the Austrian Bundesliga who we've never heard of? I don't know. So I'm going to say neither. And Barnsley will be right where they are now on Christmas Day. Let me know what you think. And finally, Derby, who are bottom of the table. In the form table, they're 20th, but in the XG table, they're also bottom. So that doesn't bode too well. Neither does the upcoming fixtures. Based on a current opponent position, 3rd most difficult. Based on current opponent form, 8th most difficult. Based on opponent XG across the season, 5th most difficult. And I believe the next 2 games are very tricky. Or is that Barnsley? I can't quite remember. Been looking at a lot of information today. But the one big thing you've got to say is the 5-point gap as well. So it would take quite a sprint over the next 6 games for Derby to go anywhere. They're 5 points away from Barnsley, and we think they've got difficult opponents. So it's not a very big stretch for me to say neither higher or lower, with the obvious caveat as well. We think once the takeover happens that a discussion will be had with the EFL with the new owner, whoever that may be, in 2-3 weeks' time or whatever, about an FFP sanction that they're going to pick up from the previous ownership. So we'll see what happens there. They could even have another points deduction. So look, I'm saying neither for Derby County. And that concludes our lovely little 3-part series. All a little bit of fun. Will your team be higher or lower by Christmas? Apologies if my metrics don't add up at any point. I've tried my best. I've done all the adding up myself, and I've spent quite a long time on it. So my apologies if one column on my spreadsheet I didn't type in the right thing or whatever. But my general thinking I'm kind of happy with, although I'm not entirely sure how I can have Bristol City and Cardiff both to be on down and neither, as well as Peterborough. I think I'm relying on Hull to probably win 3 games for that to possibly happen out of the next 6, which feels unlikely, but there you go. Get your thoughts in on all 3 of the videos, in fact, over the last 3 days. Get your thoughts in the comments, and like I've said on all of these videos, it's a bit of fun. We're trying to predict the future. If you think you're smart enough to criticise somebody else who's trying to predict the future, then by definition, that would probably mean that you can predict the future, and you can't. So don't do it. Let's all try and be respectful of people making prognostications. And it's okay to have a different opinion as someone else on what might happen in the future. Generally speaking, the more different opinions we hear, the more knowledgeable we get. And we can either learn something new from that opinion or help affirm our own. So let's try and make the comments a nice place to be. Sorry, I'm in very preachy mode today. My bad. Say what you like in the comments. Freedom of speech and all that, but be respectful. Let me know what else you want to see in the international break. Tried to do a little 3-parter with this, with some research. Hope you have enjoyed it. I'm sure by the time this 3rd one goes out, some news will have broken in terms of Barnsley manager or Cardiff manager, or in the dearly departed in terms of Norwich manager or Villa manager, and we will have been on the channel with some new content. But I'm hoping by the time this goes out, I'm away for the weekend down south somewhere. So you may well see me in some far-flung location trying to catch up on a news type video. But thank you everybody for keeping in touch over this international break, which I believe is like the last one until March. So don't worry, we're not going to be reaching for content any more throughout the season. Thank you everybody for watching. That is my views on will your team be higher or lower by Christmas. Get your views in the comments, and it's a lovely big over and out from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.